Okay, here we have Cooper. So, funny story. I had made this video earlier this morning, and not realizing I never actually turned on my microphone. And the way my little setup works is if I don't turn on the microphone, then you have literally no sound. So it's just a completely mute video with me talking out here like this the whole time. So I'm going to redo the video and hopefully I remember everything I talked about because it was a really good one and I felt really bad. But okay, I'm going to potty him and then we'll get started. Keep going. Sir, you're on the wrong side. Free, go potty. He might not have to go potty because we just literally did this about 45 minutes ago. I'll give him a minute and see if he needs to. I don't think he does. He looks like he's ready to get started. Free. Okay, so the big thing I want to talk about in this video is how we use the e-collar with heel. So up to this point, we've been using the e-collar for recall. I've been working with him with using it with heel, and he's doing very well with it because we have set him up for success the way that we teach him the recall with the e-collar. So if we think about it, we've taught him that when he feels the e-collar, I want him to come to me to get a reward. So he feels it, we call him, he comes. He feels it, we call him, he comes. He feels it, eventually he's going to be like, oh, you're about to call me, I'm going to come to you. And he picked it up very quickly, which is nice. So he's established that concept of when he feels it, it's time to move closer and come to his handler, whether it's mom, dad, Miss Ashley, whatever. He's going to feel it, he's going to come closer. So if we think about heel, heel means be next to me, right? So if we're out walking around and he's veering off or he's getting ahead of us, if he feels the e-collar, he's going to think, come closer. All right? And all we're going to do is really kind of specify exactly where. Now, he has definitely established this habit when he feels the e-collar and he comes in. He likes to try to do that thing where it goes in between your legs and does the Nala stomps, and it's adorable. But it does make things a little complicated for the heeling when he feels the e-collar and he immediately tries to go in between the legs. So, just keep in mind, right? Ideally, I don't want him pulling in the leash. Ideally, I don't want him taking off, going elsewhere. I want him with me. And if a side effect of that is him trying to go between my legs, pick and choose our battles. Especially if that's a trick that you like, that you enjoy doing with him. I'm not really going to correct that. If it's something we do want to correct in the future, we can talk about that. We can talk about how we establish what I call discrimination. Discrimination is understanding the difference between heel versus this trick that I want you to do, right? I love teaching tricks, but I like to have the tricks when I want them and not when I'm trying to do something else. So when we're using the e-collar with the heeling, we introduced it very much the same way we introduced it with the recall. He picked it up very quickly, so we didn't have to spend too long in this stage. But essentially, when he feels it, he moves closer. So we're on a level 4. If, let's say we're walking and he veers off to the side and he feels it, Cooper, good. He comes closer and he gets his reward, right? So it's essentially, we just did a recall from this far away. That's all it was. Now imagine that we're walking. If we're walking, he does a very good job of staying with me while we're walking. So practicing the e-collar is a challenge because he's always glued right to the side, exactly where we want him. Good. Pull out my clicker so I can keep using that. Good belly. And again, when I'm using the e-collar, I do like to break out some high-value treats for, to make it a very positive experience for him. All right. So anytime we're using the e-collar, I do like to use high value treats just to make a really positive association with the feeling of the e-collar. I don't want him to be scared of it. I don't want him to be upset about it. I don't want him to shut down. So when he feels the e-collar, I want him to think, ooh, something yummy, beef liver, chicken, hot dogs, whatever. All right. Now, like I said, he does a really good job with the heeling. He just hangs out right at my side, which is great. That's an awesome problem to have. But if we do want to practice the e-collar, what we can do is we can set him up for a little bit of failure. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a sudden sidestep to create some distance. And when he is away from us, he's going to feel the e-collar. He's going to come right back in because he always does. And that's going to turn off the e-collar when he comes in. So even though he's going to come into the heel position anyways, I want him to realize that the connection between coming into the heel position and the e-collar turning off. So even if it's just a moment that he feels the e-collar, he comes in, it turns off. Okay. So we can do all sorts of things. If we're walking, I'm going to try and show you a quick little. Good. So right there, I used the e-collar when he was away from me. I can do it again. Good. Or I can do a sudden. Good. Right? It just gives me the opportunity for him to realize that when we are heeling, if he gets too far away from me, that's when he's going to feel the e-collar. Okay? Now, if you noticed, he tried to come around the front to try to go in between the legs again, right? But thankfully, as long as I keep moving and I reward him in the heel position, ideally that should stop happening too frequently. Good. So every time I do a little side step, I give him just a hair, like it's just a second of e-collar. That's it. Good. Cooper. So right there, I used the e-collar. I called him after I used it, just like we practiced those recalls, right? So we can combine the skill of the recall and the heel. So if, let's say I drop something. So this is how we practice our recalls before. Ready? You're free. Cooper. All the way to the heel. And now he's getting that recall combined with the heel. So when we first introduce any behavior, I like to break down the behaviors into tiny parts, right? So for recall, just the act of turning and coming towards me, I'm going to mark and reward that. Now, that's just the beginning of the behavior for basic obedience. For intermediate level obedience, what I'm looking for is a recall with what I call a follow-on behavior. A follow-on behavior could be coming into the heel position or sitting. Some people like to have the dog sit in front of them, then go to the heel position, whatever. Basically, the follow-on behavior is intended to prevent the dog from coming, getting the treat, and then taking off, right? So now for him, because I know we talked at length that there's a concern he might have some discomfort with sitting, I'm not putting a huge emphasis on him sitting as long as he's able to stay in the position. He's not really the type of dog to kind of take off. So I'm not overly concerned about him sitting on the recall or sitting in the heel position when I stop, as long as he stops with me. Once you're able to kind of go to the vet and exclude any potential health issues, joint problems, any discomfort with sitting, then we can, if we want to, start to put more emphasis on him sitting when we stop. Otherwise, I mean, he stops when I stop. So if we're walking, heel, and I stop, he stops. So, as far as behavior management, I think he's doing just fine. If you want to put some emphasis on that sit, we absolutely can. But again, I would like to wait until after we exclude the potential health concerns. So for the heeling, anytime he's out of the heel position, we're going to press and we're going to call him into the heel. So when we're calling him into heel, we can use his recall, or we could use his heel, or we could use both. Okay? If we're going to use both, it's name, heel. Okay? Excuse me. So we're going to do it again. Heel. So if he is, you're free. I'm going to kind of let him go. Over there. Go get it. Let's go get it. Go get it. Cooper, heel. That's how you would use both. Now, if we're doing the recall, right, if he's really far away, first I'm going to give him his recall command, which is going to be his name. And then when he gets pretty close, then tell him to heel. We're not going to keep the words too close together if we're just doing a recall from a distance. Cooper, heel. Good. So right there, he was on the wrong side. I used the e-collar, helped him into the right position. As soon as he got there, e-collar turned off. I marked I rewarded. Cooper. Nice. Good Bowie. All right. So some other ways we can start to challenge him is by changing our pace. So we can go faster. We can pick up a little jog. Get my workout in. Suddenly stop. He did a really good job of stopping with me. Heel. Cooper. Good. So he dragged a little bit behind, so I just gave him a hair of the e-collar. Good. Cooper. Good. Excellent. Cooper. Very nice. And all I'm doing is challenging him to find opportunities to implement the e-collar, help him realize that when he's out of position, he's going to feel it. When he's back in position, it goes away. So we are going to practice this when you come in for your lesson. He's doing really good. So next week, we're going to go over, well, this week we're going to go over all of your goals. And next week, if there's anything that is still a problem that you really want me to focus on, that's what we're going to focus on. Otherwise, we're going to keep sharpening these skills, increasing our dog's ability to do these behaviors at higher levels, and make sure everything's where you want it to be. Okay? All right, I will see you guys tonight.